Let's say that the villains won. The main cast of characters, with all their abilities, training, and hard work, have been completely wiped out. Thus, the main villain has achieved their immediate goal. Next is the world. Of course, the world's greatest superpower can't just stand back and do nothing about this, so inevitably, Japan's greatest ally is called upon to deal with the issue. In this video, I will be pitting 4 final antagonists from a variety of shounen battle anime, and seeing if the combination of their overwhelming abilities, tactical intellect, and sheer malice would allow them to overcome thousands of years of human engineering and ballistic might. Our first contender will be Eren Yeage, from the world of Attack on Titan. For the vast majority of the series, Eren isn't much of a threat. In his Attack Titan form, he's about 15 meters in height, and though his sturdiness and sheer strength is impressive, overall he isn't much to write home about. A single well-placed artillery or ordnance round would likely be enough to put him down. Within the latter end of the series though, shit immediately goes from 0 to 100, as Eren quickly goes from a fighter capable of taking on maybe a battalion or two to an adversary who wipes out more than 80% of the human population. How is this possible? Well, let's go over Eren's major abilities real quick. When outside of Titan form, Eren can regrow entire limbs within a few seconds, and can exit and reform into his Titan form to refresh himself if heavy damage is taken. Even as just a head, like nothing except a head, by quickly entering his Titan form, Eren was capable of surviving even decapitation. That means if the military isn't capable of instant neutralization, the damage they have built up on him might be instantly undone. When inside of his Titan form, Eren is capable of hardening his body to build up his defenses. When stacked onto his Warhammer Titan abilities, Eren is capable of creating entire structures, such as defensive spikes and caltrops, which could inhibit or create blockades against military vehicles and personnel. But without a doubt, Eren's most insane ability is the rumbling. Estimates vary, but through shoulder measurements and a bunch of maths that I haven't fully checked, we can estimate that there are around 500,000 to 600,000 wall titans within the walls, each about 50 meters, capable of moving faster than a galloping horse, so around maybe 50 kilometers per hour. And with numbers like those, I wouldn't blame you for believing that each wall titan is individually weak or some obvious weakness like that. But don't get it twisted, each wall titan is capable of shrugging off artillery shells and explosive bombardment, making them incredibly durable adversaries. To be blunt, attempting to wipe out all the titans in the rumbling without the use of nuclear bombs is almost guaranteed to drain the military's resources to the point of essentially conceding defeat. So why not just use nuclear bombs then? Okay, I've seen videos like this before. If Gojo was real, could humanity defeat him? Could the modern world defeat the rumbling? And almost all of the time, the answer is a strict and immediate no. Not because of any special tactics or interesting weapons, but because of, you guessed it, good old nuclear bombs. I mean, imagine if every series ended with a nuke being dropped on the main villain. I think that'd be pretty boring. Okay, maybe it wouldn't be boring all the time, but regardless, I'm going to add a rule that states if the military is forced to use a nuclear bomb, a weapon that will permanently scar the landscape for centuries to come and likely kill thousands of innocents due to fallout, they will instantly take the loss. So just like in real life, we will be treating the nuclear bomb as the last resort option. But to balance things out a bit, we'll say in these scenarios, the military gains information about all of the villains' abilities, personalities, and weaknesses, allowing them to prepare adequate counters. With that in mind, their best bet for victory becomes obvious, and that is to focus all of their resources onto Eren's founding Titan form, a massive behemoth with an obvious weak spot, as killing either Eren or Zeke will instantly halt the rumbling. Of course, Zeke's location is a bit harder to find, but Eren's is obvious. Peak actually tries something similar in the anime. using something akin to dynamite to decapitate the founding titan's head. However, the military should have access to much stronger explosives, such as the mother of all bombs, which contains a blast yield of 11 tons of TNT and would be more than capable of vaporizing the founding titan's entire head. While Eren has slight aerial coverage through the use of Zeke's Beast Titan, strategic bombers, which are capable of reaching max speeds while delivering their payloads, would be more than sufficient in landing critical hits to the nape of Eren's neck and pretty much obliterating his head. So that's one win for the military. Now, unlike the massive world-ending threat posed by Eren Yeager and the Rumbling, Muzan presents a different kind of challenge for the US military. Muzan is not only a much smaller and mobile target, he also possesses an extreme amount of strength, versatile offensive abilities, and here's the kicker, nigh immortality. Muzan possesses what is probably one of the most impressive regenerative abilities in all of shounen anime, capable of recovering so fast that it appears as if attacks phase straight through him. This immediately shuts off most forms of modern weaponry, as any kind of bullet or blade would be instantly recovered after passing through his body. While this is a massive pain in the ass to deal with, landing hits on Muzan in the first place is an even bigger issue. Muzan's exact speed is never really given an exact number, but for reference, he's capable of blitzing and overwhelming entire groups of highly trained demon slayers in an instant, and his attack speed is even greater than this, capable of using his whip-like appendages to completely overwhelm the strongest characters in the entire verse, multiple times. So what is Muzan's weakness? Cause he has to have one. Well, that would be his weakness to the sun. The only feasible way of killing him is by exposing him to sunlight. Like all demons, when exposed to direct sunlight, Muzan will begin to burn away, dying soon after. This will likely be the military's most effective strategy to defeat him, though it's much easier said than done. If the fight happens during the daytime, then this is easy. All the military needs to do is utilize a scorched earth strategy, bombing absolutely everything Muzan could use as cover using cluster bombs, which are designed to destroy as wide an area as possible, pretty much smoking him out into the sun. If the fight happens during the night though, the military will likely have to employ a much more difficult strategy. First, they'll actually need to immobilize him, which as seen through Ubiyashiki, can be done to great effect through a direct hit with an explosive. Hypersonic missiles capable of reaching speeds of up to Mach 4, such as the AIM-120 AMRAAM, should get the job done. Even if he could counter a couple with his whip-like appendages, with enough of a barrage of these explosions and possibly slower ones, even Muzan would be overwhelmed. From there, all the military needs to do is achieve repeated strikes with fragmentation shells. If you're curious, fragmentation is the process by which the casing of an explosive is dispersed when it's triggered. This casing would dig into Muzan's body and would require full removal before he could regenerate, such as with the case of the iron caltrops Ubiyashiki used to prolong his regeneration. Keep up a schedule of steady drops and bombings onto Muzan once he's in this state, and you've practically won, stalling until daytime. And if you're worrying about him splitting apart, I thought about a counter to that too. All you really need to do is nail him with a larger bomb when he tries this, like a thermobaric explosion, which would incinerate all of the individual pieces and probably reduce him to ash. Anyway, yeah, that's another win for the military. And the difficulty only goes up, because next we have Sukuna. Much like Muzan, Sukuna is highly mobile and an extremely hard to hit target, but unfortunately for us, his durability far exceeds that of Muzan's. While Muzan was left completely disabled by a point-blank explosion, Sukuna has taken multiple attacks capable of leveling entire city blocks and only really come out with a missing arm. Like seriously, why is that his only injury each time? On top of this, Sukuna's regenerative abilities, while not quite on par with Muzan's, are more than enough for him to recover from any potential damage the military could ever hope to inflict on him, capable of destroying poisons in his body and even regrowing entire limbs. This is already bad enough, but actually attacking Sukuna would be the most abysmal challenge thus far, as while Muzan and Eren couldn't really do anything about bombers capable of traveling at max speeds above them, Sukuna very much could. Through Dismantle, Sukuna is capable of sending out ranged, invisible slashes capable of moving at what are probably max speeds with impressive range and area of effect, allowing him to cover the skies and deal with any approaching threats. Worst comes to worst, somehow, Sukuna is capable of using his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, which allows him to automatically intercept and slash anything within a 200-meter range of its center, pretty much granting him a perfect defense. Immediately after this, yeah, there's more. Sukuna is capable of launching a thermobaric explosion, which is strong enough to turn a massive portion of a city into dust. This is not even talking about Sukuna's own speed, which should be somewhere around the ballpark of Mach 3 at most, due to blitzing Maki, who is capable of reacting to and outmaneuvering a Mach 3 Noya. So basically, Sukuna is not only egregiously sturdy, capable of self-regeneration, and catastrophically powerful, he's also fast enough to evade and counter most of the military's possible attacks. Yeah, we might need to pull the nukes out. The only idea I've had is to take a page out of Sukuna's book and utilize thermobaric explosions. The mother of all bombs, or massive ordnance air blast, is the strongest non-nuclear bomb in the US's arsenal. When ignited over the air, it creates a massive explosion, creating an extremely powerful shockwave which generates intense heat and pressure. If aimed directly at Sukuna, it might be able to deal a great deal of damage to him, but our main goal isn't to strike him with the explosion. The bomb has a secondary effect of starving everything within its radius of oxygen, and while Sukuna doesn't need a heart, we at least know he needs to breathe. Combine this with other weaker types of bombs to slow him down and keep him in one area, and we might be able to suffocate Sukuna enough to neutralize him. This is really the only plan I've worked up, due to poisons and direct damage not necessarily working on him. Still, I could see Sukuna escaping the area of effect due to his sheer speed and durability, as while the mother of all bombs has a radius of maybe around a mile, Mach 3 is still Mach 3. So because of how iffy the plan's success is, I will be giving this point to the villains. Then we have Shigaraki, who is, without a doubt, the most difficult antagonist out of the bunch. A ridiculously overpowered character. Let me remind you why even in the canon series, the US government had already given up and planned to give their allegiance to Shigaraki. Starting with his most recognizable ability, Decay. Decay allows Shigaraki to turn anything he touches into dust. Clean and simple. What's more though, this effect spreads like a wave. If one decaying object touches another, it also decays. This allows Shigaraki to destroy entire cities within an instant, and seeing as he threatened to destroy the entirety of Mount Fuji, which is 200 million square meters, he's clearly capable of much more. This essentially makes any ground response immediately moot. So the best counter to Shigaraki would be an air force, but Shigaraki is completely capable of countering those two. With his radio wave quirk, Shigaraki is capable of releasing EMPs, capable of shutting down all electronics within his reach, rendering guided missiles and any form of aircrafts completely useless. Besides this, Shigaraki also now has Danger Sense, which alerts him to any possible dangers that might approach him, Search, which allows him to gain details and information on objects from miles away, and Super Regeneration, which all these villains have, and a bunch of other combat-oriented quirks. This is without talking about his naturally enhanced physical body, allowing him to leap hundreds of meters through the air and survive, albeit only partially, a barrage of hypersonic intercontinental cruise missiles. If you really want to be crazy about it, the wiki says these are thermonuclear bombs, but they're really not. Yeah, they're really not. Star and Stripes would be dead from this. Anyway, I don't see a single way in which the military could win except for the deployment of nuclear bombs. Those cruise missiles almost got the job done, so even with Shigaraki tunneling beneath the ground to avoid most damage, I'm sure a nuke could seal the deal. Though, as per the rules of this challenge, that will be another win for the villains. Also, if you are trying to consider the same suffocating strategy as with Sukuna, apparently Shigaraki has a counter to that too. So all in all, we get an even score of about 2-2, evenly distributed on both sides. Villains which are more street level like Muzan or have a glaring weakness like Eren are pretty easy to deal with overall. With a well-placed ballistic strike or a simple strategy, the military could defeat them. But villains who are much further into the realm of overpowered are almost impossible to actually defeat with modern weaponry outside of nukes. Yeah, you could kill pretty much any shonen villain with enough nukes, except for like Aizen or something. I don't even think you can hurt that guy. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Peace. One Piece. Oh my god.